All right, fantastic. All right, guys. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us, and welcome to Blue Liner Digital Marketing's latest webinar, Top 7 Trends in Medical Practice Marketing. My name is Stephen Foster. I am VP of Sales for the Blue Liner Healthcare Division. As the saying goes here, I've never been to a short webinar that I didn't like. So along those lines, in an effort to keep things efficient and snappy today, and to not to cut it too much into your Thursday lunch break, obviously just remain on mute with your phones until the very end here. And once the webinar is over with, then we can get open up the lines to any questions and comments, and we very much encourage those after the webinar has concluded. Again, in addition, if you'd like to type your questions, or you can use your comment section of the webinar on the controls panel on the right-hand side. You can, Conor and myself will reach out to you and answer any of your questions, either within the webinar itself today, or we'll follow up with you guys this afternoon. All right, without further ado, let's get underway here. I'd like to introduce you and hand you over to Conor Dalton, Director of Marketing for Blue Liner, who will be leading today's webinar. Conor.
Cool. So to just kick off and let everyone know a little bit about myself and bring through my background. My name is Conor Dalton. I'm the Marketing Director at Blue Liner. I'm also the lead instructor at the 7 Pillars of Digital Marketing Academy, leading instruction through SEO, social media, and then online media and paid advertising. My background is in Masters in Marketing, and I initially worked in professional services and financial services marketing before making the transition to agency side. And so a nice little jewel in the crown of my achievements that I'm very proud of and relevant to this industry is that I helped launch, and I'm still the digital marketing PM for a healthcare startup that went from 0 to $60 million in revenue just in under 3 years. So just to quickly again give you an overview of the 7 Pillars Academy, we offer online courses, boot camps, and corporate training within the 7 Pillars of digital marketing methodology. The creator of this was Armin Rusta, who you see here. He's the CEO of Blue Liner. And effectively, within 16 years of Blue Liner's history, he created a methodology for bringing success to his clients. And this is the effective way that he kind of was able to structure the projects and strategies for them. So it gives small businesses, entrepreneurs, or even bigger clients kind of an eagle-eye view over all the important aspects of digital marketing. Also on our team is Sorabel Fernandez. She is our in-house CRM expert and is also an instructor on the course. And we also have Alison Badger on our team, and she has a PhD from Columbia and acts as our behavioral scientist, which is hugely helpful. So just a tidbit again of a giveaway at the end. If you stick around till the end, we'll be giving you away a link to get you a free color version of the 7 Pillars of Digital Marketing book. Available for purchase on Amazon, but also available for free to you today. To start off with trend 1, we have patient portals. Patient portals being a hugely important trend we see in 2018. Just looking here, the trend is to improve and invest in patient portals. Patient portals allow patients to view test results, immunizations, and their medical history all from one centralized point. So a good portal gives patients more control over their care and well-being and becomes a foundation for electronic communications between the patient and the provider. Of course, if something's worth doing, it's worth doing right. Less than 30% of patients will give their healthcare providers an A for technology use. 89% want easier access to their portal. Patients are demanding a more user-friendly experience. So it pays to keep patients happy, and we certainly expect to see more organizations taking on a patient-centered approach to improving features, usability, and design. So it's always good to look at who's doing it well. Any trend we're looking at here, and Geisinger Health System launched their system, which is called My Geisinger, in 2001. It's an online portal which has since then evolved into an essential tool between the organization and their patients. Looking more aspects of this, apart from the patient's medical records and the health summary, patients are also able to renew prescriptions, request appointments, and ask for any medical advice from non-urgent questions or concerns. Today, around 40% of Geisinger's active patient population are on My Geisinger, with over 20,000 logins per day. So this has resulted in fewer calls to the office, and overall this is much more efficient for them and much more cost effective. So trend 2 is voice driven SEO. And obviously at this stage, particularly with the explosion this Christmas of all the Amazon Echoes that were both given and received, there's nearly a virtual assistant in every home and every pocket. Further to Amazon Echo, there's Google Home, or even on your iPhone with Siri. These are firmly in ubiquity now, and nearly everyone is using them. To look at the landscape of voice search in 2018 and the implications that this will have, there was over 200 billion searches per month that will be done. The voice search is already accounting for 20% of all activity. Unlike search keyword phrases that you type into your computer, voice search is much more conversational and natural in tone. Then looking at the difference, in terms of the length of queries that are entered in through text search versus speech search, we can see that text search is actually much shorter. So this provides an opportunity for you in your SEO strategy to actually move from ranking from smaller, more precise terms to longer tail, more conversational ones. And this actually is very helpful because the more long tail keywords actually provide you with a much more of an opportunity to really own a phrase that's fully relevant to your brand. So while there might be lower searches on it, it'll be much more relevant for you to actually rank for it. Moving to trend 3, the 10x content piece. So when we say 10x content, we're not only referring to just content actually being done, we're referring to content marketing being nearly 10 times more important at the moment. Content marketing is believed by 20% of marketers that it will be the most commercially impactful tool in their belt this year. We can see that it outranks areas like social media and mobile and even automation, or even SEO, relating closely back to our last part. So content is definitely here to stay, and even here to stay is here to stay and thrive. So a good map of how, when you're building out your content structure and activating your content marketing plan, we see here how in this visual, we structure our website content in what we call clusters, which is hugely beneficial for SEO. So we have our primary topics here in the different colors, and we see how we have different verticals and different content types aligned around these. So taking the green piece, for example, we could have a blog here, a video, an infographic, but all providing a depth of knowledge in around one single vertical. So shifting content towards wellness and prevention is a huge trend too. So it's not only about putting out highly medical terms, it's about actually putting content around people's lifestyles and helping them maintain optimal fitness and health around that stuff too. So content helps patients be more proactive about their health. This could be anything from blog posts around fitness, cooking videos featuring healthy recipes, and fitness apps that kind of reward patients for their health behavior. It's important to produce content that empowers people to maintain their healthier lifestyle, so that they avoid having to actually visit in many cases because they're keeping themselves in check. But if you provide them all the tools to keep themselves in a good state of health, you'll certainly be the voice they trust when they do maybe need to come for a health concern. So visual is also taking part too, and they're really going for a less is more approach. There's huge scope for medical marketers to deliver information about things like diagnosis, symptoms, and treatment for various diseases with really captivating visual content. They need to invest more in things like photos, videos, and even live stream. And there's also a huge scope here to solicit user-generated campaigns to sort photographic content for medical practices. So we mentioned the 10x piece, and that's not only the use of video, it's actually 10x video in the sense that you have to be 10 times better in your competition to really stand out. And that's actually a lot more obtainable than you may think if you focus on the most important aspect, which is a great story. So video has a tremendous ability to actually translate serious subject matter into really interesting and relatable stories. And a good format to follow is a plot leading up to a climax and leading to a resolution. Just to show you an infographic then of how mobile video share is actually growing, we see here how visitors and overall internet traffic is growing between now and 2020. But most interestingly, we see how mobile video's share of all this is growing time by time. And we can see that even where traditional internet visits plateau, the actual share that is mobile video is continually growing. And there's several reasons for this, being improved Wi-Fi, better mobile data connections, and even just some users going directly to mobile devices and bypassing any sort of desktop device or even laptops. So tremendously powerful information to know. Again, who's doing this well? The international healthcare company Bupa are doing this very well with their Blue Room content portal. Here they can provide really interesting and visual content based to care, family care, healthy lifestyle, and managing and recovering from any medical conditions that you might have any queries about. So it really does a good job of providing a really valuable resource that's nearly your one-stop shop for learning, and learning in an interesting way about any queries or concerns people might have about their health. So this really positions them as an authority figure and does wonders for building the trust between their brand and their patients. So the next trend is social and mobile engagement, leading off from that with the mobile video trend that we saw there. Chatbots are tremendously powerful, and we're seeing them the use of them rise and rise. So whether you're utilizing Facebook Messenger or something like WhatsApp, it helps users with things like non-emergency health queries. It's important here when you're structuring out your audiences to focus on the psychographic element rather than the demographic, which is segmenting your customers based on what they care about rather than necessarily who they are, based on their gender or their age. Because this will allow you to create a more effective communication strategy when you're structuring your chatbots. And actually offers users the equivalent of a one-on-one service, even though one single care representative might be dealing with multiple people at once. So it allows for personalization as well, which is very efficient. And then closely related to this is telemedicine. So as we know, 85% of the American population has health insurance, but physicians are being stretched to meet the patient needs. So with the technology advances and building on the previous slide, telemedicine and due to mobile connectivity is becoming much more viable. And the biggest factor in this is convenience, and changes in state law are allowing much more room for patients to engage directly with their doctors over their mobile device. And a huge factor in this too is that it's tremendously affordable, because even though patients may not be able to pay out of pocket for a physician visit, the average cost of a telemedicine consultation is about $40, which is within more people's budgets. And then while we're talking about engagement and social, I mean, a lot of people have questions about where Facebook as itself plays a role here. And really we're at a stage now where it's not an option to pay to play. You really have to put some money behind your social presence in order for you to really effectively engage with your target audience. As you see here, we're showing a graph that shows the declining organic reach of a Facebook business page over time. And it's been said that there will be a stage reached where it'll be the phrase coined is Facebook zero, in which even if you have a tremendous amount of followers, you will have zero organic engagement with these unless you put any sort of money behind it. So it's definitely worth an investment. Unfortunately, it's not a negotiable anymore. Really, if you want to reach it at a grand stage, and it's still tremendously impactful when done right. So bouncing off social and into kind of certainly what's a trendy area across the entire marketing landscape right now, but it also has its place in healthcare, is influencer marketing. So what is an influencer? An influencer is someone with a large following on social, be it Instagram or on their blog, or maybe even on YouTube. And these individuals have a tremendous amount of influence over the people that continually engage with their content or seek recommendations from them, really. Their followers generally identify or admire their style or their recommendations or the decisions they make about, the way they choose to live their life. And there's kind of an aspirational piece there too. So that being said, when they recommend something, they're much more likely to purchase the products or services, or even in turn pass on the good word about them. So the different types of influencer marketing that you can engage in are product placement, sponsored reviews, social media posts where someone might recommend either your healthcare services or an app to someone. You can have contests on influencer blogs, and you can have even influencer quotes in your content, which is tremendously impactful too. So a good opportunity is to use local influencers to meet your objectives. So with the growth of fake news, trust online and social media is at an all-time value in terms of people feeling that they can trust someone that's recommending something to them. So celebrating your fans on social media empowers them to become their own local influencers in their own right. You can create long-term mutually beneficial brand advocacy relationships instead of just one-offs, short-term transactional relationships. So who's doing this well? A client of Blue Liners, actually Health City Cayman Islands, sometimes engages in this kind of type of activity. And there's an overlap here with the more traditional kind of PR elements too. And all these things can be multifaceted. But in this example, famous boxer Manny Pacquiao visited the hospital, and it did a tremendous amount of valuable work to kind of bring up the cachet of the brand within the areas where he's super popular, and really just kind of cemented the brand in that market as like, okay, these guys are a big deal. Manny Pacquiao is visiting them. He's I wouldn't say solidly affiliated with him by any degree, but he passes on a little bit of his brand equity to them when he's pictured being involved with the facility. Trend 6 is optimized user experience, tremendously important across everything we've discussed. And design in healthcare is really about usability and creating a better user experience for your patients. So we see the wheel down here, a base of what UX is kind of the foundations of UX are. It needs to be useful, usable, findable, credible, desirable, accessible, and valuable. And this can transcend actual visual pieces and just kind of overlap all round to your engagement strategy with your patients right from the start all the way to the end. But obviously, the most really cornerstone aspect of your digital strategy that this will affect will be your website. So the primary purpose of your practice website is to attract and inform patients. And a good practice website consists of a simple layout with a clear design, an easy navigation, contact forms with the necessary information fields, clear and visible social links, review pages, and a media gallery. So you can showcase your images, video content, some of the aspects we discussed earlier. But mobile again is king in all this because the activity is moving so much over there, and it's important that it's fully responsive. We see here almost a third of your patients will be accessing on their mobile devices. At this stage in 2018, that's definitely going to break half if it hasn't already done so. And so we can see an example down below here of the site on desktop and on mobile. And we can see how nearly it's a mobile first design play because it's tremendously valuable for it to look lovely on desktop, but where it's worth focusing your effort most on is where most people will be engaging on it, and that's certainly mobile at this stage. So, a non-negotiable really. And then trend 7, our final trend, is marketing automation. And this is an area that can add tremendous value to you because you really get some free wins here. So the rise of marketing automation platforms has really simplified digital marketing. So it's made it much more accessible to engage in robust email marketing campaigns or, social listening or a variety of tools like this. Practices can now organize repetitive tasks across social networks and emails. And you can see the relationship between the actual lead generation you're experiencing, the inquiries you're getting, and the digital strategies you're undertaking. So attribution is huge there. Platforms come with trigger-based systems that facilitate regular communication with potential and existing patients. So this means that you can automate certain things that say when someone signs up for your newsletter, they'll get a welcome email, and then they'll receive your newsletter at the start of every month as you prepare and send it out. And you won't have to individually email this to all your users. You will just be able to add it on to your automation platform, and there'll be triggers in place for people to automatically receive this. Taking a look at some of the most popular automation tools, things like HubSpot, MailChimp, and Hootsuite, even Salesforce, they're all they all carry out various functions within that realm that we mentioned there, on the social end, on the email marketing end, on the drip campaign end. And really, they all have a fairly standard set of actions they can complete. But something we kind of always say here is that the tool is really only as good as the user. So while some may have some out of the box elements that are more initially accessible than others, really the principles that all of these platforms enable you to do, they're kind of transcendent and they apply to them all. So really it's about setting up those optimal workflows so that your user base are getting those communications for them. And it's all really about how you can map out your customer engagement strategy here. But it's very, very powerful because, as mentioned in the name, you can automate this. So you're not having to do it manually and spend hours upon hours upon hours individually emailing people. You can set things up like where if a patient has an upcoming visit, they can receive a reminder. Very, very powerful things like that can really, really add to the experience a customer has with you. So that's the end of our presentation here. Let me know if anyone has any questions. I will just double check in the box now.
Hey, Connor, it's Stephen. Thanks so much there, buddy. Lots of great stuff there. So I think with everyone in listener mode, if anybody wants to have a question, we can open it up now and try and trip Connor up here. We'll open up some Q&A. So pop your questions into the chat box or the questions box in the control panel to the right-hand side, and we'll just spend a couple of minutes trying to answer the questions, Connor. And if nobody has any questions, we can conclude the webinar. Here we go.
Cool. Yeah, certainly let me know.
Yep. So, Connor, we've got a question here in the questions box. I'm not sure if you can see that. I'll read it out for you just so everybody else can hear it as well.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a question that says, how can digital marketing really help a small practice? So, small practice, you're thinking like, less than 10 doctors or, dentists or what have you.
Yeah, there are definitely a number of ways. At this stage, having your Facebook profile set up for your business and having all the relevant location-based information in there is as valuable, I would say, as having your Google business listing set up. So it's tremendously valuable in terms of making you findable in local searches. And I mean, this is obviously just speaking about, say, Facebook and social as a start, but it's tremendously valuable to even have presence as a directory. So even to have your page up there in the same capacity as you would set up your LinkedIn profile for your business, I think, again, it's one of kind of these standard things that is expected now at this stage, that you at least have your company page set up there and things like that. But I mean, it's also even building off the last area of automation that we spoke of. If you're a small team and you can't get around to engage, maybe you don't have a dedicated resource to pick up the phone and engage with each patient, the automation piece with the right rules in place can be tremendously powerful and kind of transform your small team into a much bigger one too. And obviously as well, then the design side of things, not to recap on everything there, but the design, even if you're a small site, you need to have an excellent website too. Or sorry, a small business, you need to have an excellent website too, so that if any, I mean, that's going to be your tool for people finding you online, and how they'll learn more information about your expertise. And it's basically the one of the most important pieces in your funnel to attracting new and more valuable patients.
Right, Connor. So you talking about the pay-to-play element of Facebook and going down to Facebook Zero, but I mean, just creating your profile and engaging with people initially is the first step, right? Before you get onto all that social posting and trying to boost your posts, etc., on Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. And all that stuff's free and relatively easy to do, right? You don't need necessarily be a marketing expert to create your profiles and even your Google listing.
No, not at all. No, that is very accessible stuff, and I think it's something that is very easy to learn to how to get the ground blocks and a good foundation in place. The pay to play element definitely does come in when you're growing, and you might be running certain promotions, or expecting to drive people to specific call to actions on the site. But again, this is after you've set that good foundation, and it's kind of one of these things where there's a number of steps you can take that will only have a positive impact on your company's digital footprint. And setting up your page and all that is certainly one of those.
Okay, great stuff. We've got another question here. It's asking if you can recommend kind of creating groups or communities on social media and how that can really help.
Sure. So you could have something, if you're more on the medical tech end, LinkedIn could be a play, but even if you're talking about, say, a medical practice, physician practice, having a group there provides a tremendously valuable opportunity for people to come in and maybe not discuss personal information about actual health conditions, but if you were maybe involved in a local advocacy group for keeping people active and healthy, it could be a tremendously valuable conversation point for people in the community to come and kind of discuss struggles they might be having with maintaining a healthy life, any difficulties they're encountering, and overall, if you're seeing as the kind of the shepherd there, the voice of knowledge, it only strengthens the good perception of your practice or our view as a medical professional within that community, and that always drips down into something else. That always drips down to a peer-to-peer recommendation of somewhere warm and friendly where people will refer people to. And I think a good principle to stick to is, you try and give more value than you receive. And I think if you put good out there in that regard, like in facilitating, a good social group like that, it definitely pays dividends. Definitely pays dividends.
Excellent. All right. I think we're good. Let me check real quick. Yeah. All right. We're all set there. If nobody has any more questions, thanks everyone for your terrific questions. If there are no more further questions, we can conclude the webinar today and let you guys get back to work. We really appreciate your time. Hope you've enjoyed the information that was shared today and find it useful within your own medical practices. I will be following up with you guys this afternoon with the recorded webinar in electronic format for your records and to answer any further questions that you have with regard to marketing your practice in 2018, and also to share some additional information about Blue Line and our 7 pillars framework for digital marketing. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.